Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to talk about the various of accessories that you can get for your cover stitch machine. Now, it actually will differ quite a lot depending on the brand that you have. For instance, I have a Janome Coverpro 2000 CPX, and Janome sells quite a large range of accessories to the cover stitch machine, but they're not the same from the different brands. So for instance, there were different accessories for a Babylock machine or a Juki. So when you're buying a cover stitch machine, you also need to figure out what type of accessories that you want to use for your cover stitch machine. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about the accessories that I have and also talk about some other that you can get outside the ones that I've tried and have opinions on. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. And we're going to start off by talking about presser fit. Now, this is the one that usually is included. It's made out of metal. It's usually called the standard presser foot. I find that this metal one is definitely a value. Now, I think some machines are actually now switching that you can have a clear as your standard presser foot. And while I'm a big fan of using a clear presser foot as well, which I will talk about just in a second, I also really think that the metal one is absolutely super useful, because what you will discover is that when it comes to sewing over tricky lace, perhaps bulky fabrics, all that sort of stuff, the metal standard presser foot will generally do a better job than the slightly more flimsy plastic ones. I have done a lot of experimentations. I've come to that conclusion. So don't skip on using the regular presser foot, because that will take you a long while. So you definitely don't need to go out and buy all the other presser foot straight away. You will actually suffice quite a lot just using this regular presser foot. But if you want to venture into other type of presser fit, my number one recommendation is to get one of these. It's made out of plastic, but the good thing about the Janome is that actually a large part is actually done of metal, so it has a pretty good grip and it doesn't feel as flimsy as some of those 100% plastic presser foot. I will show you one example of this just a minute, which I think is not a really good idea. So definitely look for a presser foot that has some type of metal component as well. And why do you need a clear presser foot, you might ask? Well, the biggest reason is that it will help you to stitch straighter, because you will, as you probably already discovered, that stitching straight on a cover stitch machine can actually be a little bit trickier compared to a regular sewing machine. And thanks to the fact that you can easily see exactly where the fabric is and adjust accordingly. So I find I really like to use this, for instance, when I'm stitching down clothes, say for a ribbing, a neckband. And also I have good results using it for binding, because it makes really easy to see exactly where the binding is placed, and it can prevent it from slipping, which I sometimes have a problem with when I'm stitching binding on my cover stitch machines. Now obviously getting accessories are quite pricey, but if I would say get one additional piece of accessory, then I would definitely say get the clear presser foot, because it really makes a huge difference. So that's really good to have as an extra tool in your cover stitch box. Another presser foot that I highly recommend, but is not, from what I can tell, readily available for all brands, is this one. It's actually also clear presser foot, but it has an adjustable edge guide, and you know, it works just like the edge guide on your regular sewing machine presser foot, which makes stitching in the ditch, for instance, so easy. Because obviously sometimes when you're using a cover stitch machine, for instance, you want to stitch down ribbing, because if you notice in ready to wear, they usually stitch in a straddle position. So one stitch is on the seam allowance, and the other stitch, the right stitch, is on the ribbing. So having this, which you can also adjust really easily, just turning this knob back in front, will make stitching in the ditch much easier, and also perfect for any type of edge stitching, just like you would do with a regular sewing machine edge presser foot. Also great for denim if you want to top stitch your waistband, for instance, using the changes on the cover stitch machine. Again, this tool will make that much easier. But from what I understand so far, I think it's only Janome, I could be wrong, that sells this type of presser foot, but definitely worth looking into. And the good thing, as I said, is adjustable, but it's also removable, which means that if you remove this, you will have pretty much a regular clear presser foot. The only drawback is that it doesn't work for binding because it has a little bit of a groove in the middle where the binding can get a little bit messed up in. But apart from that, if you're not really cover stitching binding, I would definitely recommend that you rather buy this one instead of this one if you have a Janome Coverstitch Machine. And most cover stitch machine will also have some type of fold hem guide, which means that it will automatically fold the fabric while stitching. And this one I have in my hand is not for my Janome Coverpro, because that one looks different. I have not invested in this one. This is for my old Fuff cover stitch machine, and this one is a presser foot and a folder combined in one. And to be honest, I didn't use it as much as I had thought, because I found that the plastic construction of this one is super flimsy, whereas I've noticed, for instance, on the Janome Coverpro, and I also think for Babylock and a couple of other brands too, it's actually done in metal instead. So that to me seems much sturdier. But you will definitely be aware that if you're going to use this tool, there will be a slight learning curve. So you don't really expect it to automatically just fold and stitch and everything will look beautiful. But I did find that with practice, it made it quite easy. But then again, I don't find it too cumbersome to just, press in the fabric and then stitch. So I don't really feel that I need this one. And the drawback of the one I'm holding in my hand now is just one size. Whereas I think a lot of the other more modern hem guides, you can actually adjust the width of the fold, so you can stitch a hem of different type of width, but this one has one fixed width. Now, I have a couple of other attachments that I also want to address, and I think one of the reasons many of us are interested in getting a cover stitch machine is because of this, the binding function. Now, this is a telltale sign of really professional finish, and it can be kind of hard to achieve on a regular sewing machine when you're working with really stretchy knits. And in the garment industry, the cover stitch machine is used to attach binding. So what you might be interested in getting, and I think it's available for most brands of cover stitch machine, is one of these. It's the binder attachment. So this is quite a big tool, and it does, you thread the bias tape or the binding tape through here, and then it goes inside here, which creates a folded strip. This one I'm holding in my hand is a four-fold binding, so there will be 2 folds on the outside and 2 folds on the inside. And there are several different versions of this one. This is the brand ones from Janome Coverpro. Now, as I've talked about on my blog, and you can check out, I will link to that one, this is not a very user-friendly tool. It has taken me a lot of time to actually get the hang of it. So don't expect this to be a miracle worker. Now, there might be other brands that are much easier to use, but I think in general you will be prepared to have to do a bit of a learning curve, because there are lots of different adjustments that you make sure that the fold is absolutely perfectly aligned. So there are a lot of little tweaks and stuff that you need to start figuring out. And if you're really curious about that, as I said, you can check out my blog post that I will link to in the description section. There are different folds. So this one, which I'm holding in hand, which is generic binder attachment, this one is actually 3 folds. So it has 2 folds on the outside and just 1 fold on the inside, which makes for less bulky binding. Now, this is a generic attachment, so I actually struggled a little bit to attach it to my Janome, because the way it's constructed would require a bigger bed of the cover stitch machines. I bought mine from AliExpress, and it was supposed to fit on for the Janome Coverpro. It doesn't really. So I definitely recommend that instead, if you want to go the generic route, because the ones that I talked about show you know it's super expensive, and this one is not, and it's quite similar in construction, I definitely recommend that you instead buy from a seller that's actually specialized in this type of binder attachment for different type of cover stitch machines, so you can be sure that you will actually get one that will work with your particular brand and model. And the last attachment that I have is this one. This is a pretty recent discovery of mine, and I'm definitely really loving it. It's a belt loop folder. Now, I don't know if you know this, but if not, I'm here to tell you that in the garment industry, belt loops are actually done using the cover stitch machine. And in my upcoming book about cover stitching, I will demonstrate how to do this using your cover stitch machine, either with a belt loop folder or by hand, which is another way you can do it. But if you're interested in getting one of those belt loop, I know that the Babylock has one for that for their type of coverstitch machine. This one is again a generic that I bought from AliExpress. It didn't 100% fit on my Janome, but with a little bit of tape I solved that problem. And what it does is that it folds the belt loop, and you stitch the belt loop using a wide cover stitch like the 6mm one, and then the looper thread will cover the edges of the fabric, so it creates a really beautiful finish super fast. And compared to the binder attachment which I just complained about, this one was super easy to use. And so far I've only talked about the accessories that I have and have used. There are in fact other type of accessories as well. I will talk more about those in my cover stitch book, but just to give you a quick rundown, one you can get from the Babylock is the pin tag presser foot, which creates pin tag using the narrow cover stitch seam. And you can also get various type of hem folders that I mentioned before. And Janome also has a tool for attaching elastic using the cover stitch machine. Again, a way to create a really professional finish. I would say it's probably perfect for any type of swimwear, children's wear, all that sort of stuff. I've not tried it yet, but I've done a blog post where I give you a review all the tools available for Janome. So there I will give you a link to that tool as well. And also another thing that is available for some cover stitch machine is the chain stitch presser foot. It's a special presser foot that will help you stitch a perfect chain stitch. Now again, this is not available for the Janome Coverpro, so I can't vouch for it, but I know that some other cover stitch brands has that presser foot, so definitely worth checking out if you have another brand. And those are pretty much the ones that are currently available. I could probably miss a few, but overall these are the ones that are easy to find. If you have any more discoveries when it comes to accessory, and also I'm really curious to know what are your experience using the various accessories to your cover stitch machine. Do you find worth investing in them, or is just a regular metallic presser foot all that you need? I'd love to know, so please share in the comment section. If you have any more questions, also please ask away, and you can look forward to my cover stitch book that will be out in March, where I will show you lots of different ways to use these tools. Stitch safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!